impounded in the national capital. These are under provisions of the Delhi Police Act. Now, this is a reminder for all of us to be more responsible. Our focus tonight is on the dangers of irresponsibility, especially in the light of that cluster spread of coronavirus from the Tablighi Jamaat event in Delhi in mid-March that has left the entire country now on a contact tracing hunt of people who would have been infected directly or indirectly from that program. You're watching Newsnight. I'm Mark Lynn. Let's begin with the headlines. Cabinet Secretary holds a video conference with Chief Secretaries and DGPs of states. The states have been asked to take steps on a war footing to trace attendees of Tablighi Jamaat. Action to be initiated against those violating visa norms and against organizers of the event. The Health Ministry says that an increase in the number of coronavirus cases in the country is due to the Tablighi Jamaat congregation. All 2,300 people evacuated from Tablighi Jamaat headquarters and sent into quarantine. More than 1,000 people admitted to 9 hospitals. The centre says the lockdown is being carried out effectively across the country and mandates ensuring production and distribution of essential commodities across the states. Cargo movement also to continue uninterrupted. The Prime Minister Garib Kalyan Yojana to be implemented throughout the country within a week. The Cabinet Secretary instructs states to make sure that migrant labourers get required facilities. More than 6 lakh people are staying in over 21,000 relief centres. The Railways has made 20,000 coaches also available as isolation units. The CBSE says that all students studying from grades 1 to 8 will be promoted to the next class. Students in grades 9 and 11 will be promoted to the next class based on an internal assessment of their schools. And the war against corona continues across the world. The numbers of those infected have now crossed 9 lakhs. Global death toll crosses 43,000. Italy and Spain continue to have the highest fatalities. So let's begin with our top story, and this is about the Tablighi Jamaat and the situation there. We're going to bring it up on the back behind me right now, and we'll put it into perspective. This is what it is, the Tablighi Jamaat and COVID-19. The update is that the Cabinet Secretary has had a video conference with Chief Secretaries and DGPs and taken certain decisions. Let's move on to the next slide. So the Cabinet Secretary has had a video conference with Chief Secretaries and DGPs. Now, they have instructed that intensive contact tracing of the Tablighi Jamaat participants takes place. So that was what happened at the meeting. And it has also increased the risk of containment efforts of COVID-19. That event has caused a greater risk now for containment efforts. States have been asked to complete this contact tracing on a war footing. Otherwise, much of what this containment effort through the lockdown is going to serve no purpose. Foreigners who had participated had violated the visa conditions that they came here with, and as a result of that, they need to be told so. Cases need to be booked against them. States have been asked to initiate action against these people for such violation of their visa conditions. Also, the states have been asked to initiate action against the organizers of the event because clearly it was a violation of social distancing norms, various other things, because given the considerations that, the country was facing at the time. Also, the Health Ministry says that the cases have increased due to the Tablighi Jamaat. That's the number of cases in the country has increased, the positive cases, but this does not show a national trend. So this is an isolated event. We cannot say that, community transmission is taking place as a result of this one cluster event. Now, what is this event? What is actually the Tablighi Jamaat and COVID-19? We know that Nizamuddin is famous for the shrine of the 14th century Sufi mystic Khwaja Nizamuddin Aulia. And, well, it's a very famous place. Nizamuddin area of Delhi is now a possible cluster for coronavirus as a result of this event. This event has taken place from the 1st of March to the 15th of March. It's a congregation that took place, and people have been coming, from different parts of the world right from January onwards. So now there's a nationwide search for participants of this religious gathering because, as we know, 10 deaths linked to COVID-19 have come from this particular event itself. So this is a cause of concern. Out of the 38 deaths in our country, 10 deaths have been related to this event. What is this? What is the Tablighi Jamaat? It is nearly 100 years old, so it's a very old organization in that sense. It's a non-political movement which is basically propagating the tenets of Islam. It's been going on for almost 100 years. It's considered influential. It's a spiritual movement among Islam. But it has factionalism because, it has influences both from Pakistan and Bangladesh, and hence there is some sort of factionalism within the Tablighi Jamaat. Now, what has happened here? How does it function? There are about 150 to 250 million members, apparently, who are all largely in South Asia. So we can see that, a lot of Muslims owe their allegiance to the Tablighi Jamaat or hold it in high regard. What does it do? It works basically among Muslims, teaching them the tenets of Islam. So propagating the faith, getting deeper into your faith, that's the purpose of this organization. It works by bringing small groups of preachers. They come together and they go around preaching to Muslims, amongst the Muslims, telling them about their faith and getting them to be stronger in their faith. So that's basically what it does. So what has happened is that over 2,000 foreigners, as I said, came from about 70 countries for the Jamaat since January. They've been coming into the country. They have come with visas, so we know that there are about 2,000 who have already come. Now, over 1,000 had got stuck at Nizamuddin due to the lockdown. We know that they were there till about the 15th of March, and when the lockdown came in to effect on the 23rd of March, and hence they were stuck. They couldn't move out. Many of them had 6-month tourist visas, and so this was one of the concerns. An Indonesian citizen from that event was found positive on the 18th of March and subsequently died. So far, the participants of the Jamaat have died. 10 of them have died. 10 participants have died due to the coronavirus. So we don't know how many people have actually got it. 285 suspected cases at the Markaz admitted to hospitals. Many more too have been admitted to hospitals because now contact tracing is on, and we are basically trying to figure out how many people could have been infected from this cluster. The southern states are hurrying to identify and isolate attendees because we know they came in from different parts of the country. Telangana, in fact, saw 6 fatalities, all of whom had attended this event. So that's a clear red signal there, that this event definitely had a lot of the virus around. Tamil Nadu and Andhra also saw a steep rise in daily positive cases, and they were all, as a result, a majority of these cases had attended the Jamaat. So we don't know how many people were actually infected by the virus at that Jamaat. It was a period of time that maybe the preachers who had carried the virus were sitting around for quite some time there and had interacted with a lot of people, and those people had moved back to their places, been in touch with the hundreds of others. There have been other contacts who nobody can figure out because they passed by. We don't know what has happened, and so that is important to figure out how many people could have been affected. So considering the severity of COVID-19 and its potential impact, these people have, those who have gone to these things, to this event, they've been asked to approach authorities and to be tested and to be treated if needed, because it's extremely important. If you have attended this event and you feel that you're okay, still please go and say that you have attended the event, because you never know, you could be a carrier of the virus, because we do not know to what extent it has actually penetrated from this event. It was a cluster penetration in a sense, despite the lockdown, in fact. But this is what the Union Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi has termed this congregation in Nizamuddin as an irresponsible step.
इस तरह के आपराधिक कृत्य को किसी भी तरह से न नज़रअंदाज किया जा सकता है और न माफ़ किया जा सकता है। जिस तरह से कितने लोगों की जिंदगियां, कितने लोगों की जानों को इन्होंने खतरे में डाला, इसका अंदाज़ा लगाया जा सकता है। आज पूरा देश जब एक स्वर में एकजुट होकर के इस कोरोना के कहर को ख़त्म करने के लिए, उसको परास्त देने के लिए, उसको शिकस्त देने के लिए एकजुट खड़ा हुआ है, तो ऐसे हालात में इस तरह की ख़तरनाक सोच, इस तरह की ख़तरनाक आपराधिक चीज़ें, इसको हम एक नेग्लिजेंस नहीं कहते, इट्स क्रिमिनल नेग्लिजेंस।
Well, the BJP has decried the organizers and has said that all should follow the rules.
प्रधानमंत्री 130 करोड़ हिंदुस्तानी की फिक्र करते हैं। वो हिंदू, मुस्लिम, सिख, ईसाई नहीं देखते, बल्कि हर भारतीय की रक्षा अपना धर्म समझते हैं। इसलिए उन्होंने पूरे देश के लोगों से अपील की। पूरे देश के लोगों ने प्रधानमंत्री की बात मानी। अगर मरकज में भी जो लोग रुके थे वो उसी दिन प्रधानमंत्री की बात मानकर अपने अपने स्थान पर जाते तो ऐसी घटना नहीं होती। अभी भी जो लोग मरकज में थे उनमें बहुत से लोगों को क्वारंटाइन किया गया है, बहुत से लोग पॉजिटिव निकले हैं, और जो लोग पिछले हफ्ते 10 दिन में मरकज के अंदर आए हैं, वहाँ से गए हैं, वो कहीं भी हों, उनको तुरंत पुलिस को, प्रशासन को बताना चाहिए, उनको अपने आप को आइसोलेट करना चाहिए।
A very important step. Those who have been at this event should please give themselves into the authorities and tell them, or at least be tested to see whether you're positive, quarantine yourself, or also following that, or even if you have to be treated, go on for the treatment. Now, even before the lockdown was announced, the Delhi police had advised people in Nizamuddin area to disperse the crowds and practice social distancing. The leaders of the congregation, however, did not pay heed to their requests.
मेरे पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट के लिए नहीं है, या आप लोगों की सुरक्षा के लिए है। आप लोग जितना डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करेंगे उतना ही जी जाएंगे, बचेंगे, लाइफ के लिए रिक्वायर्ड है ये। वो कुछ नहीं देख रहा, रिलीजन रिलेटेड चीज नहीं देख रहा। तो आप लोगों को बार बार आगाह करने के बावजूद भी ये चीज समस्या हल नहीं हो रही है। अब मैं आपको जो आपके हाथ में नोटिस है, ये नोटिस आपको दे रहा हूँ और मोहम्मद असाद साहब के नाम पे दे रहा हूँ। इसके बाद भी अगर कोई ऐसी इश्यू निकला और आप लोगों ने इसको बिल्कुल तुरंत प्रभाव से क्लियर नहीं किया, तो मैं बहुत स्ट्रिक्ट लीगल एक्शन के लिए मजबूर हूँ।
सर, हम आप कह रहे हैं हमने 1,500 लोग कल भेजे हैं यहाँ से, और अभी
कितने लोग हैं वहाँ?
अभी 2,500 में से एक रह गए हैं। 1,500 हम भेज चुके हैं और अभी भेज रहे हैं।
मैं ये पूछ रहा हूँ, अभी कितने लोग हैं मरकज में? 1,000 हैं। वो कहाँ के हैं?
सब दिल्ली से बाहर के। दिल्ली का कोई
कहाँ के?
कोई लखनऊ का है, कोई बनारस का है, कोई
खतौली का है,
बिजनौर का, इस तरह ये सब जाना चाहते हैं, लेकिन बॉर्डर सील क्या करें जी। हम इनको अभी भी आपको जिस वे में निकालने के लिए हम तैयार हैं।
एसडीएम साहब से संपर्क करें तुरंत। और जैसे कि आज भी कुछ आए हैं, इस तरह के नहीं आएंगे। स्पेशल ब्रांच के हमारे पास इंफॉर्मेशन है, सीनियर अफसरों के फोन आए हैं, तुरंत प्रभाव से इसको कीजिए। और अभी आप एसडीएम साहब से संपर्क कीजिए, गवर्नमेंट सारी फैसिलिटीज देंगी, जिसको आगे बसेस से निकालना वैसे होगा, मैनेज कीजिए। ये 3-4 दिन से कर रहा होगा। ये 3-4 दिन से आप इतने गंभीर हुए होते तो अब तक खाली होता।
तो सर कल हम आए थे,
अब आप मेरी बात सुन लीजिए। जो मैंने कहा, मैंने सुन ली। कल आए थे और कल के बाद भी सिचुएशन वही की हो रही है। इस बात पे मेरे को 1 सेकंड सुन लीजिए, आर्गू नहीं करना। मैंने आपको ये बता दिया। एसडीएम साहब का भी नंबर लाके दे दो, मैं एसडीएम साहब से खुद भी बात कर लेता हूँ और आपके सामने करता हूँ।
Well, the Union Home Ministry has issued consolidated guidelines on the lockdown measures to be taken by the ministries and departments of Government of India and the states and the Union Territories Administration to break the chain of transmission of COVID-19 in the country. It was observed that some states and union territories are allowing exceptions beyond what has been permitted under the lockdown measures as contained in consolidated guidelines issued by the Ministry of Home Affairs under the Disaster Management Act of 2005. And in pursuance of this observation, the Union Home Secretary Ajay Bhalla has written to all state chief secretaries and union territory administrators requesting them to strictly implement the lockdown measures in letter and in spirit by exercising their powers under the Disaster Management Act of 2005 to fight COVID-19. Now, briefing the media on the latest updates on the COVID-19 situation in the country, the centre has said that till now there are 1,637 COVID-19 cases, including 386 new positive cases since yesterday, while 132 people have recovered. The center has said that the number of positive cases has gone up since yesterday, and that the main reason for this is travel by members of the Tablighi Jamaat. Now, so far, 47,951 tests have been conducted till date, and there are 126 labs in ICMR network, including 51 private labs that have been approved, and they are doing the tests. Now, as many as 6 lakh people are living in makeshift camps. Over 25 lakh migrant workers who were rushing home were provided with food at relief camps. An important step, and also the Supreme Court had focused on that. Now, let's bring in our point of discussion tonight, and this is it. The focus for tonight is this. So it'll be coming up on your screen now. In focus is Tablighi Jamaat, the danger of irresponsibility. That's what we are going to be discussing tonight. Tablighi Jamaat, the danger of irresponsibility. To discuss this, we have with us in the studio Mr. Feroz Bakht, who is Chancellor of Maulana Azad University, and Praful Ketkar is the editor of Organizer. Gentlemen are with us today. Right, and so let me begin by asking you, Mr. Bakht, what's your reaction to this now? Nobody was expecting this to become a cluster, and we can see the dangers of clusters because, you know, we've seen how this virus is spread rapidly across different parts of the world. It's starting from clusters like this, and even though the government had taken almost every single measure to keep people apart, social distancing, something like this can happen, and everything goes, becomes, comes to naught, in a sense.
You are absolutely on target, Mark.
Yes.
According to me, this is going to be a catastrophe. I pray to Allah it should not be one.
Okay.
But no one knows, in that gathering of 3,500 at this Tablighi Markaz at Nizamuddin, I do not know how many of them were COVID positive. But I wish not so many of them should have been. But I think there was a huge example of irresponsibility and mismanagement by the management of this Tablighi Jamaat, because, you know, they are all the people who are learned people, who know about each and everything, who know what is happening around in the world. They should have sent a note through email or whatever way, through WhatsApp, to all these followers of theirs, that for I think 2-3 months, they should stay at their home, they should stay in their own countries, and they should not come to India. So that was the biggest mistake that was made by this Tablighi Jamaat center. Now you see, not only this, they kept on inviting them in the month of January, then February, then March. In the month of March, Mark, I remember, on 13th of March, then on 16th of March, then on 19th of March. On 19th of March, the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, came himself and he asked for Janata curfew. Again, on 24th of March, government made announcement, and finally on 24th of March, Modi ji, with folded hands, he addressed the nation and he requested people for following this Lakshman Rekha, that is, they should not step out of their homes.
Absolutely.
Now, also maintaining, as you were mentioning in the beginning, that distance, that social segregation, and but unfortunately, and one more thing, give me a couple of more seconds, Lynn.
Yes.
One very unfortunate thing was that the in charge of this Tablighi Markaz, one Hazrat Maulana Saad Kandhlawi, the way he actually incited people, provoked people, they are innocent people. They think that they are big religious heads, and he told them that if you know, don't bother about corona, there is a conspiracy against us, and they are the government is trying to lock our mosques. They don't want that we should pray in congregations, in gatherings, so forget about it. And if at all you are going to die with the corona, then why don't you come to a mosque and die here? I think this was totally a negative kind of you know,
absolutely. At a
this
time like this,
spread of religion.
when you know,
this is very unfortunate.
Certainly, Mr. Praful Ketkar, comment on that, because you know, at a time when religious leaders were taken into confidence, a lot of them also understood the importance, because there are community prayers that take place, and they realized, and they told their communities that, you know, many of them have stopped community prayers because they had to do it in the interests of safety. This is it's something that was totally opposite, which is completely irresponsible, when the whole world has, in fact, has come to the understanding that gatherings, community gatherings, are not going to. But before I come to you, can answer that question. I'm told that there's breaking news coming in, and this is steps being taken by the government on coronavirus. The Press Information Bureau of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has set up a portal which is COVID-19 Fact Check, a unit which will be operational from the morning of the 2nd of April 2020 to receive messages by email and to send its response in quick time. The Ministry of Health has also set up a technical group consisting of professionals from AIIMS and other hospitals to clarify any doubts in the minds of the general public on any technical aspect of COVID-19. The Cabinet Secretary has written to all the state governments informing them of the constitution of 11 empowered groups under the Disaster Management Act, with a clear-cut mandate to decide on various aspects of management of COVID-19, with a request to develop similar mechanism at the state level. The Health Department has issued detailed guidelines to deal with psychological issues amongst migrants. The state government has also requested they've been requested to engage volunteers to supervise the welfare activities of migrants. The Press Information Bureau will release a daily bulletin at 8 p.m. every day to inform people regarding the government's decisions and developments and the progress on COVID-19. The first bulletin was released on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. So let's, in fact, before you could answer the question that I was asking you, maybe you can give us a comment on this. In fact, I was asked, I'm told by my producer that our correspondent is also online. Sudhakar, you are with us. You can fill us in with some more details. I've read the entire brief out, but you know, you can put it into context for us.
देखिए मार्क काफी महत्वपूर्ण है और ये जो पूरी जो महामारी की चुनौती है खासतौर से उससे निपटने को लेकर और देखिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जो पूरा मामला आया था और केंद्र सरकार के भी तरफ से कहा गया था, सुप्रीम कोर्ट भी इससे सहमत था कि एक तरह से फेक न्यूज जो जिससे पैनिक फैलता है वो एक बहुत बड़ी चुनौती है। बाकी चीजों को मैनेज कर पा रहे हैं, उसका प्रबंधन हो पा रहा है, लेकिन फेक न्यूज एक बहुत बड़ी चुनौती है। उसको देखते हुए सुप्रीम कोर्ट की तरफ से भी निर्देश दिए गए थे और सरकार ने भी जो अपने तरफ से व्यवस्थाएं प्रपोज की थी उसकी बात थी, उसको लेकर ये तमाम कदम उठाए गए हैं। सबसे पहली बात जो एक फैक्ट चेक यूनिट है, तो निश्चित तौर पर सोशल मीडिया हमने देखा, चाहे माइग्रेंट लेबर्स वो कई राज्यों में, न सिर्फ दिल्ली और कई जगहों पर एक जगह से दूसरी जगह जो जा रहे थे, इसके अलावा तमाम चीजें उसमें एक बड़ा कारण इन फेक न्यूज का था। सरकार ने प्रपोज किया था, इसके तहत एक टेक्निकल ग्रुप भी बनाया गया प्रोफेशनल्स का हेल्थ मिनिस्ट्री में, जो कोविड से जुड़ी हुई जो तमाम चीजें हैं उसको लेकर डाउट्स जो है वो क्लियर करेगा, वो काफी महत्वपूर्ण है। तीसरी जो महत्वपूर्ण बात कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी की ने जो 11 एम्पावर्ड ग्रुप बनाया गया है, ये तमाम तरह के ग्रुप हैं और देखिए इसमें एक महत्वपूर्ण ग्रुप जो ग्रीवांसेस हैं राज्यों के या तमाम लोगों के, उसको लेकर भी एक अलग ग्रुप भी बनाया गया है, तो वो तमाम चीजें उसको देखेगा। लेकिन सबसे महत्वपूर्ण जो है सुप्रीम कोर्ट की तरफ से ये कहा गया था कि जो मीडिया है उसकी स्वतंत्रता का जरूर समर्थन किया जाता है, लेकिन इस वक्त ऐसे चुनौतीपूर्ण वक्त में मीडिया की एक जवाबदेही जिम्मेदारी है कि वो आधिकारिक चीजों को, आधिकारिक बयान को दिखाए। तो ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट का गाइडलाइंस था, ये दिशा निर्देश था और उसके तहत ये फैसला किया गया है कि प्रेस इंफॉर्मेशन ब्यूरो रोज डेली बुलेटिन जारी करेगा रात 8 बजे। आज हालांकि ये 6:30 बजे ही जारी किया गया था। तो ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण फैसला है। सही जानकारी, आधिकारिक जानकारी, जिसमें कहीं किसी तरह की कह सकते हैं कि चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है, वो जानकारी सीधे आम जनता तक पहुंचेगी तो आम जनता भी उस लिहाज से फैसले कर पाएगी।
Also, Sudhakar, since the people will be concerned, you know, about what news is right and what is wrong, this is going to be obviously something that will tell them what the facts are. But, you know, how do they interact with the website? Do they have an ability to pose questions? Because you have you know, a list of technical experts, doctors from All India Institute of Medical Sciences and others who will be able to take their questions. What is the process through which it's going to happen? Yes.
जी बिल्कुल, देखिए जहां तक फैक्ट चेक यूनिट जो बनाया गया है, वहाँ ईमेल के जरिए और एक तरह से मैसेजेस भेजा जा सकता है और एक तरह से क्विक टाइम में रियल टाइम बेसिस पर रोज उसका खुलासा उसके बारे में जानकारी देने की कोशिश की जाएगी। जो हेल्थ को लेकर टेक्निकल ग्रुप बनाया गया उसके लिए फोन नंबर भी जारी किया जा रहा है, तो फोन पर भी इसके बारे में राय ली जा सकेगी। तो एक सुविधा होगी फोन के जरिए, ईमेल के जरिए, इस तरह के तमाम संसाधन। हमको पता है कि सही जानकारी चाहिए तो उसके लिए एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप भी बनाया गया है कोविड को लेकर, जो तमाम चीजें जो एक तो सामान्य जानकारी हासिल करने के लिए हर स्तर पर सूचना लोगों तक सही तरीके से पहुंचे, उसके लिए व्यवस्था की गई है। तो ये काफी एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम है और ये पीआईबी का जो डेली बुलेटिन सिर्फ मीडिया संस्थानों के लिए उपलब्ध नहीं होगा, ये एक क्योंकि पोर्टल भी बनाया गया है तो उस पोर्टल पर भी उपलब्ध रहेगा। हमको पता है कि वेबसाइट वगैरह के जरिए भी ये तमाम लोग आसानी से इस पर जा सकते हैं, इसको देख सकते हैं और रियल टाइम बेसिस पर तमाम चीजों को एक्सेस भी कर सकते हैं।
Thank you very much, Sudhakar Das, for those inputs. Let's turn once again to our guests in the studio, Mr. Praful Ketkar. So this is a timely measure by the government to clear the doubts in people's minds, because we know that there's a lot of information out there and it's spreading panic. People are concerned. This is the best way, you know, to clear the air, in a sense.
See, we are fighting actually two wars simultaneously.
Right.
On the one hand, we are fighting COVID-19, but at the same time, you know, as Supreme Court rightly said, there is also a kind of infodemic that we are fighting with. And even what we saw at Anand Vihar, you know, the way people started moving, especially the so-called migrant workers, and you know the way the things were spread among them, that there will be civil war, there will be 3 months lockdown.
Yes.
So the word was deliberately spread, and the way they reached towards, you know, Delhi UP border, that clearly shows that this misinformation playing a critical role in messaging, and especially when people are not coming out. It is very easy to spread rumors in you know, social media platforms. So it becomes even more critical that, you know, this credible news. I have seen this PIB's today's bulletin.
Yes.
It gives a clear picture. At the same time, because there is a fact checker thing, so even the fake news that is coming, or the misinformation that is coming, that also will be cleared immediately. So it's a two-way approach. On the one hand, giving the right picture. On the other hand, if there is any wrong information, the well will be cleared from it in the same speed.
Right. Mr. Firoz Bakht, also, you know, what one can realize the importance of this is we are talking about the larger aspect of the danger of irresponsibility. We know that, you know, there's a chain of command, and when we are fighting a war, in a sense, one has to follow it, listen to it, especially in a time like this. And we can see very clearly that the Tablighi Jamaat did not understand the importance of the instructions that are being given at this point of time. And, you know, people also needed to realize that if it goes out of hand, we already know what has happened in Italy, in Spain, in the United States. And look at our country. We have many more people, and it can spread much faster. So it really requires one to follow the chain of command. And when it has been imposed, it's there for a necessity, isn't it?
Well, Marklin, you actually deprived me of the words in my mouth.
Okay.
Now, for a start, let me tell you that two phrases I will never forget the Prime Minister had said in his second address to the nation. He said, follow the Lakshman Rekha. That is, we are not supposed to leave our premises wherever we are. first thing. Second thing that he said, a very remarkable thing, like a head of the family and a medical expert, he said that Jaan hai to jahan hai. If we live, then we can go to pray, we can do anything. Now we unfortunately have not been following that. Apart from that, what is the other thing which I have noticed over the last 2-3 days, that there are some people, maybe from my own community. You see, I am a very blunt man. When I say things through my heart. And I try to, give a picture which is very honest. Okay. Some of the people from my own community who are supporting the markaz, I am not against markaz. I have been to markaz for quite a few times.
No, obviously, when I was speaking there, I said it has a 100-year history.
Yes,
I mean, it's an important event that takes place every year.
Basically, it started in 1927 by one Mr. Maulana Muhammad Ali Hasan. Anyway, I am not going into the history because that is not important. What is important is, Mark, that it has been politicized, and there are people from my community, maybe from others, certain other channels which are trying to communalize it. It has nothing to do with Islam, it has nothing to do with religion. If a person who is not following the instructions of the Prime Minister even, then he has to be punished or she has to be punished. There is no question of being a Hindu or a Sikh or a Muslim. So, and these are deadly times. This is the question of life and death of the entire humanity, India included. And let me tell you, our Prime Minister, he clicked at the right time when he, in fact, he learned from the experience of Italy, Spain, China, South Korea, USA, and at the right time he clicked. Now, he could have also, like these premiers and presidents of these countries, he could have also said, okay, let there be a lockdown. But the way he meant it, he is the world's best communicator. And if we do not respect and regard him, if we do not follow him, then we are in for it. And unfortunately, I pray to Allah once again that these people who have gone to various villages all over India, they have gone to the world. I hope they don't turn into cluster bombs. They don't turn into human bombs. This arrow is out now.
We're running short of time, but I'll get a final word from you, Praful Ketkar.
See, there are three quick points in this.
Yes, quick.
Maulana Saad should come out and he should take the responsibility of this irresponsibility.